the leading cause of death by disease for children in our country. We can do something about that. We can come together to support the best research for safer, more effective treatments and cures for our kids. We can come together to support Children's Cancer Research Fund, a national nonprofit dedicated to ending childhood cancer that is on the front line of breakthroughs. Because
it's enough already.
Go to childrenscancer.org to join us. Go to childrenscancer.org today.
Broadcasting from the Mountain Home Services Studio, this is 97.5 KZNS FM Colbert, 1280 KZNS AM Salt Lake City, and 102.7 KSL FM HD2 Salt Lake City Midvale. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This is College Football Saturday on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
We begin with major news in college football. The new Michigan man is Kyle Whittingham. The longtime Utah coach has agreed to a 5-year deal to replace Sharon Moore, who was fired December 10th for, among other things, an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. Whittingham is 66. The winningest coach in Utah history. He stepped down 2 weeks ago and Friday informed the team he will not coach them in the Las Vegas Bowl against Nebraska.
What a wild 24 hours it has been.
Isn't it kind of a wild week in general, though?
Yeah, that's true. Welcome in to a special edition of the Saturday show here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, where we will do College Football Saturday. I'm Alex Napolis. No Christian Esparza today. Filling in for him today, it is the Jay Catch.
Hey,
Jay Catch, how's it going, man?
This feels good to be back in this chair on a Saturday morning.
I know.
Thanks for having me back. It's good to be here.
Absolutely, man. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of it all, how was your Christmas, man? Everything good?
It's good. Yeah, a lot of family time, but it's never a bad thing. How was yours?
It was good, man. It was good. Did you get anything interesting from your family?
Okay, what do you term interesting? Like, I don't know.
What's the best present you got?
I got the new AirPod Pro 3s.
Oh, okay.
So,
there you go.
Yeah,
man.
my other ones were bugging out. Like, I'm telling you, like, sounded like the speaker was blown out in one of them. So, had to upgrade that. But
there you go.
Excited to have them. So.
Awesome, man. I think the best present I got was shoes.
Shoes, okay.
Yeah, I got a new pair of shoes, and I'm very excited. I'm actually wearing them today.
What do we got? Nikes?
They're actually Adidas.
Adidas, all right.
Adidas
the three-stripe life.
Yeah, there you go, man.
All right.
There you go. We're repping. Parker Long sitting behind the glass making the magic happen. Parker, everything good? Christmas good?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Good, man. Let's get into it because, as we mentioned, it has been a wild 24 hours. We came in yesterday. Big shout out to Lloyd Cole and Alex Curie, who were on air from about 11:30 all the way till about 4:30, and they were covering this wall to wall. Everybody across the station jumped on and shared their thoughts and shared their takes because it was reported that Kyle Whittingham was going to take the head coaching position at Michigan, and now it is confirmed. We got the announcement late last night.
It's officially official, as they say.
It is official. Kyle Whittingham is the head coach of the Michigan Wolverines. And Jay Catch, your initial thoughts on the whole situation, on Kyle Whittingham leaving Utah and heading over to Michigan to take that head coaching position?
Well, it's just jarring because to see him wearing the M on that picture they put out with the Jumpman logo, as they often do with these head coaching announcements, it's crazy because I've said this before on air, but Kyle Whittingham took over as the head coach of the University of Utah when I was a senior in high school, Alex.
Yeah.
21 years ago. It's been a minute since he has not been in the state of Utah. In fact, if you go all the way back, 1994 is when he joined Utah's staff as an assistant coach. And obviously, so 31 years patrolling the sidelines at Utah. Absolutely remarkable run, incredible stuff that he's accomplished. And to consider where Utah was and where he has taken them, it's pretty crazy to think that he's going to be in Ann Arbor, Michigan, but he said it himself last week. I'm in the transfer portal. I've listened to enough Kyle Whittingham interviews. I've talked with him enough. He doesn't say stuff just to say stuff. That was not just a one-off, like get a chuckle out of the media, even though it drew chuckles from the media.
It did, yeah.
It was on purpose. He was like, no, I'm not done coaching yet. And he obviously went through the process. I'm sure Michigan vetted everything, said, hey, how invested are you? Because he's 66 years old. Like, there's some question of, like, how long he's got. He's got a 5-year deal with Michigan, and if he finishes it, he'll be 71 years old. For some context sake, Nick Saban stepped down in Alabama at the age of 72. If you're trying to look at context for all of this. But you look at it, and it's crazy to think that Kyle Whittingham is going to be a head coach still, but this time it's go blue, and he's wearing the maize and blue.
And he's wearing blue. He's wearing blue. It is interesting because, you mentioned the media scrum last week, and I think you're right. Like, a lot of people kind of laughed it off, and it was, it was meant to be funny, but there's people like PK, for example, who have been covering Kyle Whittingham for basically the extent of their career. He comes on JJ and Alex that same day, and he says, look, this is what he said, and people should be looking into that because he doesn't just say stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in hindsight, you look back at it, and we probably should have been paying attention a little bit more because, like I said, a lot of people online seem to blow it off.
Yes.
And then here we are a week later.
Yeah. Well,
and he's the head coach of Michigan.
And the thing about it is, with Kyle, he obviously had talked about the fact that when coaching's in your blood, it just doesn't go away. And I know that he had been part, because there's been a lot of people saying, like, why would they do this head coach in waiting thing? Like, here's the deal. Kyle Whittingham signed off on the head coach in waiting deal for Morgan Scalley. He wanted Morgan to be the heir apparent. He wanted Morgan to take over this and kind of just pick the baton and carry it forward, speaking of the Utah football program. The biggest thing is when it kind of came down to it, the whole thought process was that last season, speaking of 2024, was probably going to be Kyle Whittingham's last ride. Think about it. It was Cam Rising. He was a senior. You go out on top in theory. You come into the Big 12. Maybe you win that league, and you ride off into the sunset. Nothing went the way anybody planned at Utah in 2024. They finished 5-7. Obviously, Cam Rising gets hurt early in the season, doesn't ever return, and literally nothing went according to plan. So he felt like, all right, you know what? I don't want to go out in that fashion. I don't want to go out with a 5-7 record where things seem the sky is falling in a way. Let's try and get this thing back on track. And they do that this year. And then Kyle still got that bug. He still wants to keep going because they bounced back with a 10-win season. Life's good. And I think it came down to the fact that Utah was likely at risk of losing a guy like Morgan Scalley if Kyle Whittingham stuck around. So I think from the Utah perspective, it's like, okay, do we want Kyle for 3, 4, 5 years more, or do we want to get Morgan Scalley in place where if everything goes according to plan, you could have another 10, 15, 20-year run with a Utah alum running this program who knows what it takes to win at this level because he's been a player there, he's been a coach there, he has learned at the feet of one of the masters, maybe the master of Utah football in Kyle Whittingham. I think that was the thought process from Utah's side of things, but I can't blame Kyle Whittingham. If he's still got the bug to coach, yeah, in some ways Utah probably should have kept him in place, but I also understand from their perspective, they're looking at it saying, okay, how long does he really have left versus can we afford to lose the heir apparent?
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing, right, is Morgan Scalley, because people are talking about that he was fielding calls and listening to things prior to the announcement that he would have taken over as head coach, and so I on one hand I'm happy and I'm excited to see what Kyle Whittingham can do at Michigan, right? I think we know Kyle Whittingham, phenomenal coach, and right now Michigan is in a really tough spot because they're under investigation, right? The NCAA is looking into them. You have the whole Sharon situation that just happened a couple of weeks ago, yes, and then of course Connor Stallions not too long ago, right? There's scandal after scandal. There's staffers hacking into student emails, right? That came out earlier this week too. A lot of things that need to be cleaned up over at Michigan. That's a challenge. That's going to be a challenge within itself. And I think if anybody is qualified to hopefully steer that program in the right direction, it is no doubt in my mind it's Kyle Whittingham.
Well, sure. And okay, Biff Poggi, who's currently the interim head coach, he said it himself. He's like, this place has been dysfunctional for years.
Yes, he said it.
And they won a national championship amidst a bunch of that stuff going on. Now, stuff came out after the fact, obviously.
Right.
But I think Biff Poggi nailed it. It's been dysfunctional, and they need to have kind of just wipe a clean slate over the whole program, cut ties with the Jim Harbaugh era because Sharon Moore was one of his lead assistants. The whole thought was he was kind of the Morgan Scalley of stepping into that role, and things have gone really sideways at Michigan. And this is a clean break. Kyle Whittingham is a no-nonsense coach. He doesn't. He's boring, for lack of a better term, off the field, and that's not a bad thing, especially considering what Michigan's been dealing with.
Right.
He's going to come in and he's there to talk shop, and that's play football, coach football. And in his mind, I think he wants to chase a national title. And Michigan has proven, guess what? They can do just that.
Absolutely. Deep Pockets, one of the blue bloods.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and obviously we'll get to the coordinator talk in a moment. I'm sure we'll talk about that. But I think from Kyle's perspective, he's like, you know what? I'm gonna have resources I've literally never had before. I'm gonna have once again one of the top 5 brands in college football that I'm the head of. Like, I'm running this operation, and they're not that far removed from winning a national title. And by the way, anybody who thinks that Michigan's in a rebuild right now, absolutely not. Now, things could go different pending how the transfer portal goes. But you have Bryce Underwood, who's a bona fide 5-star prospect, was nothing short of remarkable this year as a starting quarterback as a freshman. They're 9-3 this past year. Amidst all of the chaos and the hoopla going on with that program, Kyle's stepping into a situation where he should, in theory, be able to win and win at a high level right away.
Absolutely. Within a year. I mean,
Well,
there's no doubt. There's no doubt that they will have a winning record, right?
Yes.
His first season.
Mm-hmm.
But I think within the year that Michigan team is poised to be back in that Big 10 championship game. A lot of Michigan fans rejoiced last night. Mm-hmm. They got their Christmas present.
Yeah.
They got a head coach who only follows his daughters and his wife on Instagram, hasn't posted on Instagram in 10 years.
Somebody did the deep dive. They literally scrolled through.
They did it. Yeah, they had to.
They're like, okay, they're fully clothed. It's his wife and his daughters, and he doesn't post it in years. I think we're good here because the whole thing with Sharon Moore and him DMing people on Instagram. Yeah, so this is a program, obviously, in Michigan that was in disarray. The direct quote from Biff Poggi was, malfunctioning organization was the quote. And Biff Poggi, I don't know how many people know his background. This guy's a hedge fund millionaire. He coaches football for fun.
Really?
Yeah, Biff Poggi, like sleeveless, Charlotte head coach. He coaches football for fun. He doesn't need to he does it because he enjoys it.
Yeah.
Good point. Did you say that on air? Say that on
the
air.
Arthur Smith of the college football world.
Arthur Smith, Fred Smith, who owns, FedEx.
Yeah.
Arthur Smith's his son, and it's like one of the heirs to the FedEx empire. Arthur Smith has been a head coach in the NFL. He's an offensive coordinator right now for the Steelers, if I recall correctly. He's coaching for fun, too.
Yeah.
So Biff Poggi, I think, knows, like, hey, this thing's been kind of off the rails, and we're trying to keep it just somewhat as functioning. He's a malfunctioning organization. Michigan fans should be very, very happy. Kyle Whittingham is going to come in and I think do some pretty incredible things with that program because he sees it for what it is. He's like, you know what? This is a top 5 brand. We've got all the resources. We got a good roster, obviously, already. There was one 4-star wide receiver decommitted and asked for his release from his national letter of intent in the aftermath of Kyle Whittingham's hire. But other players like Malachi Lee, there's a defensive end as well, who've said that, hey, this guy, he's a good coach. I'm excited to play for him. Malachi Lee's a kid from Hawaii. I know that his brother played at Utah for Kyle, so there's a family connection there. But Kyle is going to come to Michigan and I think deliver essentially what Michigan football fans have come to enjoy about the Wolverines. It's no nonsense, no frills, but effective football. And by the way, that's winning football.
Exactly. We saw it here at the University of Utah.
Oh, yeah.
That culture that he established, the foundation of which he built Utah football on, there's no doubt that he's going to take every single one of those ideas and ideals over to Michigan with him because it's a program that kind of needs it right now.
Yes.
To me, I'll say 2 things. I'm happy for Whittingham, right? I'm happy that he has that opportunity and he gets to go coach somewhere else and potentially, be able to take this Michigan team and be able to hopefully get them a national championship. That's great for Kyle Whittingham. But I think in the case where Kyle Whittingham has gas left in the tank, which we now see that he does, he took this position, he should be the head coach at the University of Utah.
Well,
that should be the end of the discussion. If he has gas in the tank, he should still be the head coach at Utah. Overstaying my welcome was a repeating and recurring theme for Kyle Whittingham in that press conference. He mentioned it multiple times. He said it multiple times. I think he put an emphasis on, I don't want to overstay my welcome. So whoever up on the Hill made Kyle feel like he overstayed his welcome, they screwed up.
Well, and I completely agree with you on that point. if Kyle wants to keep going, do you take the proven commodity or do you take the unproven commodity?
Right.
I think everybody takes the proven commodity. And that's nothing against Morgan Scally. I think Morgan Scally is going to be phenomenal at Utah as their head coach. That guy bleeds red. Like, he is a Ute through and through. But there was just that little question in the back of your mind. Okay, what if it doesn't work out here? And what if Kyle goes on to have just wild success over 3, 4, 5 years at Michigan, does win a national title, plays in the college football playoff, does all these things that Kyle, I think, envisions doing? Because that's kind of the last thing on Kyle Whittingham's like to-do list, I think, in his mind as a head coach is play in the college football playoff and win a national title. Those are the two things I think Kyle still has on the checklist to do. Maybe have a guy win a Heisman Trophy. I don't know. Maybe that's on the wish list for him. But, if I think hindsight being what it is, it's 2020, Utah, I think, would like to have Kyle Whittingham still running this program. And you're right. Whoever or whatever caused him to feel that, you mentioned I don't want to overstay my welcome.
Yeah.
It's a tough look.
It's a tough way to see a legendary head coach, the most successful head coach in that program's history.
I'm going to tell you right now, Kyle Whittingham is Utah's version of Lavelle Edwards at BYU.
Yeah.
Lavelle has the national championship. He has a Heisman Trophy. He has some of the hardware that Kyle Whittingham isn't able to obviously boast right now. But Kyle Whittingham had a Lavelle-like run at Utah.
I 100% agree. I 100% agree. And again, I feel like if well, we know now, like I said, we know now he has gas left in the tank. And because he has gas left in the tank, he should still be the head coach at Utah. But it's a double-edged sword because you're absolutely right. Like, I think a lot of people up on the Hill had to make a tough decision and maybe swallow their put their friendships aside, swallow their pride a little bit, and say, do we lose Morgan Scally? Mm-hmm. Do we lose our future head coach in waiting, or do we move on and allow him to take the reins? And I feel like whatever conversations had up there, those had to be extremely difficult for all parties involved because it is Kyle Whittingham.
Yeah. You're telling this guy, like, hey, thank you for your service.
Right.
But
we're going to have to ask you to
move along. And that, trust me, that's not comfortable for anybody.
Right.
I think the wild card in all of this is that when this head coach in waiting title was put into place, the whole thought process was, Kyle's like, you know what? At some point, the bug is going to be gone. I want to jump off into being a grandfather. I know that he loves to ski. He loves to golf, all that different stuff. He loves to play tennis. I think he wanted to jump into retired life. And he was all on board with this head coaching and waiting stuff. And Utah was, Morgan Scally was like, hey, this is going to be great. The wild card in all of this is the Michigan Wolverines job came open, and it's just sitting there. And I think Kyle's like, you know what? I don't necessarily want to stop going, but to your point, somebody at Utah or some people at Utah essentially told him, hey, we're looking towards the future here.
Right.
And then Kyle's like, I'm not done yet. And so he probably looks at it, he's like, Ann Arbor's pretty nice. Let's go with a pretty good program, pretty good success rate. And I think that he considered all that and said, you know what? Let's give this thing another run.
Yeah.
Now, the problem with all this is he's probably going to pull apart staffs both in Provo and Salt Lake City.
Yes. And
take guys with him, as well as, some players potentially as well.
That's the next big thing. We've already seen reports coming out from 24/7 Sports, from CBS Sports, saying that for the defensive coordinator position, the top target is Jay Hill.
Sure.
From BYU.
Natural.
Then the top target for the offensive coordinator position is Jason Beck from Utah.
Uh-huh. Well, okay, consider what let's look at Beck for a minute. We'll get to Jay Hill in a minute because that obviously is a bigger conversation with regards to the impact it has on BYU. Jason Beck thing, think about this. He came to Utah and was kind of an unknown commodity. He had put together an incredible offense at the G6 level at New Mexico. They had done a really, really good thing, and obviously Devin Dampier was a star for the Lobos. Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year, just an incredible run. But the question was, would that translate to the Power 4 level, and especially at a high-level program like Utah? Well, in one season, Jason Beck proved that not only is it effective at this level, it's actually super effective. It's a top 10-ish type offense, and it's translatable across leagues, essentially. That running style, like the hard-nosed running style that Jason Beck implemented at Utah, is going to fit very, very well at Michigan. It's going to fit very, very well in the Big Ten because that's exactly kind of the ethos of what the Big Ten has been all about, especially what Michigan's been all about for literally decades. But then you add on the element, and I don't know what the thought process with Bryce Underwood is right now. But Bryce Underwood is the upgraded version of a Devin Dampier. Like, Devin Dampier is a very effective football player. But Bryce Underwood is not only bigger, he's probably as fast, if not faster, and has a better and more refined throwing arm than what Devin Dampier offers. And if you're Jason Beck looking at it saying, you know what? Let's go give this thing a shot and really show what it can do at the top level.
For Jason Beck and that offense at Utah, they are the number 2 rushing team in the country.
That's like, who's number 1? Is it Air Force or
it's Navy?
Navy, okay.
It's Navy. Yeah. Navy averages 289 per game.
Service academies often are the top of this. Yes.
Air Force is third.
Okay.
They sit at 261, and then Utah's right there in the middle, in between both of them, at 269.8 per game.
Jeez.
And if I remember right, you go back to that year that the Michigan Wolverines won the national championship. They had J.J. McCarthy. He was fine, but I think where they excelled the most was that rushing attack.
Yeah.
And Blake Corum. And now you have the opportunity to bring an offensive coordinator who I think can go a little bit back to that bruising running game, similar to what Blake Corum did, similar to what Utah did this season, right? And you implement that to Michigan, and I think you set yourself up in a really nice way to evolve that Michigan offense and hopefully get them back to that level again where you won a national championship.
And that right there, I think, is the allure of everything that Kyle Whittingham's looking at. Jason Beck's probably obviously weighing right now because I'm not under no illusions that Utah's going to be obviously fighting to keep him in place because as you should.
Yeah.
Morgan Scalley should be fighting to keep him absolutely locked in with Utah. But say he does go to Michigan, that's, I think, going to be a really, really nice thing for Kyle Whittingham to immediately be able to kind of install and say, hey, guys, look at what we did last year, Utah. 10 wins with this offense. It's a power run team, but also offers spread elements that with an upgraded at quarterback and in terms of Bryce Underwood, some of the wide receivers that Michigan can boast that Utah's literally never had. This offense could go from this to like this. It really could level up. And that's got to be a really, really alluring thing to a guy like Jason Beck thinking, okay, I know I've hopped 2 times, maybe 3 times in 3 years. New Mexico, jumping to Utah, and then jumping to Michigan. But man, talk about upgrading yourself in really quick succession.
Yeah.
And also, the other talking point about this is Kyle Whittingham's not going to be at Michigan for 10 years. He'd be 76 years old.
But you know what really surprised me?
What?
The 5-year deal.
It does, but remember, it's only 75% guaranteed.
Yeah.
So it's like 3 1/4 of the years are guaranteed here. It's $41-ish million. I think that the whole thought process, it's a 5-year deal.
Yeah.
But if we get 3 or 4 years out of you, great. And if you're a guy like Jason Beck, go to Michigan, have some success, prove that offense works, and, in theory, set yourself up maybe to inherit one of the top 10 jobs in all of college football.
There is no better way to jumpstart your head coaching career than being a successful coordinator at a blue blood Big Ten or SEC school.
Because guess what? Even if it doesn't work out at Michigan for you, there are going to be no shortage of other programs like, hey, Jason Beck, we're so-and-so from X university here that would like you to come be our head coach.
I'm curious to see how much, and we'll probably find out in the next couple of days as Kyle Whittingham begins to fill up that coaching staff. But I'm curious to see how much stability Jason Beck wants and how much he needs for his family, because he's bounced around for. You go back even before New Mexico. He was at Syracuse 2 years, and that was the longest he's been in a school in the last little bit.
Yeah,
he's 2 years at Syracuse, 1 year as quarterback coach, 1 year as OC. Then went to New Mexico with Bronco Mendenhall, and then obviously this next season goes to the University of Utah. Does he want to move again after 1 year?
Well, and that's a valid point, because obviously many people know that. Well, a lot of BYU fans call him Jaw Beck because that's when he was the backup to John Beck at BYU in the mid-2000s. He had J.A. Beck on his back. That's what he's known as, Jaw Beck. His wife is a BYU alum in her own right. They've obviously got roots here in the state of Utah, and that's a great question. How much does he really want to go to Ann Arbor here? But I'd be hard-pressed to think that you don't.
Yeah.
Because you've had success. Kyle Whittingham brought you to Utah. You've had wild success there. And the type of talent that Michigan can boast and the talent you can recruit at Michigan, man, hard to pass up on that, especially as an offensive coordinator.
I'm also curious on how I mean, obviously, again, similar to the conversation we just had with Kyle Whittingham, it is a double-edged sword, right?
It is.
I think I would absolutely love it for Jason Beck if he got that opportunity, goes on to a blue blood in college football, and find some success there with Kyle Whittingham. But at the same time, I think for Utah's sake, I think it would be phenomenal for him to stay. So I am curious to see what his relationship with Morgan Scalley is like, because that was one of the big talking points when he was being initially hired, was the fact that both Whittingham and Morgan Scalley went in on Jason Beck, and they went into the search together, and they picked the guy that they both wanted. And so I'm curious to see, again, what that relationship with Morgan Scalley looks like, and does Morgan Scalley have the upper hand of trying to keep him with Utah?
Well, and that's a very good point, is that he already knows what he has at Utah. Like, speaking of Jason Beck, like he knows, hey, Morgan wants to keep me around. We've had success here. I've got guys in place that obviously have had success with running this offense, and there's that little party like, hey, what if this doesn't work? Well, you're having to reset and try and find a new opportunity for yourself. So that's all that's going to be weighed. But I really do look at this is, even if Jason Beck moves on, the pieces that are in place at Utah for the next offensive coordinator, whoever it might be, have got to be plenty alluring in their own right. Like, you got to look at it and say, okay, they had some wild success, especially running the football.
Yeah.
You keep a lot of that around. Now, the offensive line is going to need some retooling because you're losing 2 offensive tackles that are likely top 20 picks at worst in the NFL draft. And the other 3, I think, were all seniors, if I recall correctly, on the interior. But outside of that, there are pieces in place. Bird Ficklin's already declared he's planning on sticking around at Utah. Could you keep Devin Dampier in place and have that those 2 quarterbacks in place? There are pieces for whoever ends up, whether it's Jason Beck or somebody else as the OC at Utah, that's going to be in a pretty good spot.
Yeah. I think that's another big wrinkle that I think we're going to be following along over the next course of the next couple of weeks, as that coaching staff is filled up. If Jason Beck goes, what happens to Devin Dampier? Devin Dampier obviously came to Utah, followed his coordinator after Jason Beck came over from New Mexico, right? They both come over together. Does the same happen if Jason Beck does take that offensive coordinating position with Michigan? Well,
and that in this day and age of the transfer portal and the like, the combination of an OC and the quarterback going together is a very regular thing.
And it's been successful.
It is, because guess what? These quarterbacks know what this OC is going to do. They know the offense. They can come in and essentially be that second coach on the field, telling guys, hey, no, do this, do that. Like, they're on the field pointing out to guys in real time. And that's a real nice advantage to have. I just look at it from the Michigan perspective is like, are you really willing to jettison a guy like Bryce Underwood for Devin Dampier?
Yeah.
Or, this may be pie in the sky type stuff, does Devin Dampier look at it and say, you know what? Maybe I just go and be the mentor to Bryce Underwood. You'd have to make it really worth his while with NIL and the like, but that, in theory, could also be in play.
I think I don't know. I find it hard for Devin Dampier to want to go play second fiddle to Underwood, right? And that's, of course, predicated on if Underwood decides to stay at Michigan under the new head coaching in Kyle Whittingham. But if Underwood decides to jump into the portal, that I think that opens up the door for a Devin Dampier to potentially go over and be a starter for Michigan.
Yeah, that would.
I do think, though, where Utah fans, I guess, might have a little bit of a sigh of relief when it comes to players jumping into the transfer portal and following Kyle Whittingham to Michigan. That's a young Michigan team who has a lot of young talent, right? They're rebuilding with that young talent, and I think most of those guys would be solidified players heading into the next season.
Yeah, you'd think so.
And so that might help players like a Devin Dampier stay at Utah.
Yeah, and that's got to be what a guy like Morgan Scalley's got to be talking to these guys about, saying, hey, understand that, the look may be different, but we're going to try and get almost a like-for-like replacement as offensive coordinator. Stay here, continue to build what we did. We weren't that far off. Like, think about it. If Utah wins at BYU, they're very likely playing in the Big 12 title game and probably in the college football playoff. So the message is, we're not that far away. Stick with us, and let's see what we can do.
Absolutely. There is still so much to break down, so much to talk about when it comes to Kyle Whittingham being announced as the 22nd head coach of the University of Michigan. We'll look at it from the defensive perspective, right? Again, Jay Hill is one of the top prospects.
It's not just Utah that's being affected by this.
Yes.
There's also a school 40 miles south.
Absolutely.
That wears blue, like Michigan, a little different shade. but that's going to absolutely be impacted by all this.
So we'll jump in. We'll talk Jay Hill. We'll talk a little bit of the wrinkles of what we can continue to see as Kyle Whittingham takes the head coaching position over at the University of Michigan. That's coming up next on the other side here on College Football Saturday. It is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The Utah Mammoth and Smiths are teaming up to get you to the game. With qualifying Smiths purchases, you can score single goal view tickets, hot dog and a bottle of water included, for just $15. The catch? These tickets go fast. Download the Utah Mammoth app, enable push notifications, and be the first to know when new tickets are released. Shop at Smiths and snag your seat for $15. Simple. Grab the Utah Mammoth app today and watch for the next release. Tusks up.
If you're getting new gutters, make absolutely sure that you don't get screwed. I mean literally, don't get screwed. Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. And every single gutter company out there uses screws to hold their gutters together at the corners and downspouts. They use screws because they're fast and cheap and easy. But man, they're terrible for your gutters, aside from possibly cutting your hand. They also loosen and corrode over time because they're not made from the same metal as the gutters. At RGS Exteriors, we've been installing gutters for 70 years now, and we don't use screws. We only use permanent, strong, and unobtrusive rivets. They're made from the same material as the gutters, so they won't oxidize, and they won't corrode. They'll also never loosen. Your hand is safe too. Did I mention they look amazing? So don't get screwed. Call RGS and get riveted gutters. Our number is 801-280-3110, or visit us at rgsutah.com. That's 801-280-3110, or rgsutah.com.
Show some love to youth sports volunteers with the Hercules Hero of the Week. Let's praise your favorite youth coach, ref, or maybe the parent that pulls the team together. Your nomination could score them a $100 Visa gift card from Hercules First Federal Credit Union and a $200 gift card from Beehive Meals. Listen to see if they win Thursday afternoons with JJ and Alex. The Hercules Hero of the Week with Hercules First Federal Credit Union and Beehive Meals, helping you take the busy work at a family dinner. Get rules, info, and nominate your hero at kslsports.com/contest.
Hey, Doug, I was wondering if I could test drive a sweet new Kia Telluride.
Weren't you here yesterday?
Was I?
And the day before?
People tell me I have one of those faces.
All right, but this is the last one.
Get up to $5,000 off MSRP on all new 2025 Kia Tellurides. Discounted price includes $2,000 customer cash through KFA. Additional discounts applied from Doug Smith Kia. No one knows Kia like Doug.
Attention Jazz Nation, the long wait is finally over. Mountain basketball is back and better than ever. Let's go! All tickets are on sale now, and you won't want to miss the action. Jump on the opportunity to watch your favorite players live and in person. Whether you're after season tickets, mini plans, or single game matchups, the Utah Jazz has got your back. There's a plan for every fan. Don't miss out. Secure your seats today and be part of the excitement all season long. Let's go! Visit UtahJazz.com today.
You know what hope is? Hope is action. Carving a path forward, even when it's hard.
And kids who still know how to dream. They're the best pathfinders of all.
So at Child Fund, hope means helping millions of children living in poverty worldwide to grow up healthy, educated, skilled, and so all those good things can come true for them. Safe.
And that means safe at home, safe at school, and safe online.
Hope means walking this path together, all of us. Because when we work together, we can do so much more.
That's right. Hope includes you.
Child Fund, because we need each other.
To learn how Child Fund works with children in 23 countries to help them achieve their full potential, visit childfund.org. That's childfund.org.
Hey, this is Chris with JCW's. Drop in for one of our delicious gourmet burgers made with 100% choice Grand Chuck. We're in Lehigh, American Fork, Provo, South Jordan, and Harriman. JCW's, quality and a lot of it.
You're locked on to College Football Saturday on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back in. It is a College Football Saturday edition of the Saturday Show here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I'm Alex Napolis. Sitting alongside me is Jake Catch, filling in for Christian Esparza. And it's such an interesting time and such an interesting timeline that we live in, Jake, because a week ago, me and Christian were sitting here talking about Kyle Whittingham, and I told him, I was like, I don't see Kyle Whittingham taking the Michigan job. It just seems like a mess and a half. I don't know. I don't know if at this point of Kyle Whittingham's career, he wants to go into Michigan and try to fix whatever is going on at Michigan.
Yeah.
You just have the sanctions come down on them, and then the whole timeline and everything that's come out about the Michigan job is so interesting because you have last week Pete Thamel on TV at the what do you call it? The College Game Day show.
Yeah.
He comes
College
on,
College Game Day, yeah.
and he comes out and he says, "Look, if Alabama would have lost last night, Kalen DeBoer would have been the head coach of Michigan." Then you have the whole Kenny Dillingham situation go down, and I thought if Kenny Dillingham took the job, Kyle Whittingham would take the ASU job. And then
that's a good question.
And then
when you go to Tempe,
right? And then here we are a week later, and Kyle Whittingham does decide to take the Michigan job. So everything that's come out about this position is so interesting. We had a beat writer yesterday come on too and talk a little bit about the Michigan perspective of everything, and he says that a couple weeks ago it was Whittingham's camp who reached out to Michigan about the position.
And that part I'm not surprised about because once again, when Kyle said I'm in the transfer portal. Kyle doesn't just say stuff to get a laugh, get a chuckle. He was, I saw the coaching bug. I still want to do it. And he probably looked at that Michigan job and said, hey, he told his agent, just reach out. See what they say. Like, the worst they can say is no. No thanks. But things that freezing cold takes for you guys last week. But
I know, right?
but to your point, it seemed so unbelievable that why would you put any stock in it in reality? You're like, hey, why would I want to buy into that? But reality is here now. And Kyle Whittingham is going to be wearing the maize and blue. He's going to be on the sidelines where Bo Schembechler and Jim Harbaugh and all these greats, Lloyd Carr. Larry Carr is the former Bountiful head coach. Yeah. But they've prowled those sidelines. This is like he's playing in the game against Ryan Day in Ohio State, everybody. Like, Kyle Whittingham is upgraded to the big time.
Yes.
And that's not to denigrate Utah in any way. This is just he has taken a leap forward into one of the top jobs in college football. And that brings with it ramifications here locally, because we already talked about the Utah perspective. Well, guess what? One of his proteges, one of the guys that he coached and one of the guys he coached with, we already talked about it, the odds-on favorite, or at least the thought to be the favorite, to be his defensive coordinator, and that's one Jay Hill.
Yep. Reports coming out from Matt Zenitz yesterday saying that the offensive coordinator position is expected to be targeted to Jason Beck, and the defensive coordinator position expected to be the leading target is Jay Hill from BYU. Jay Hill has been phenomenal. First of all, I think everybody here in the state recognizes how important and how amazing Jay Hill has been to the success of BYU. They have been one of the best defenses over the course of the last 2 years, for sure.
Correct.
In the Big 12, I love what Jay Hill has been able to do at BYU. But now imagine that defensive scheme and those defensive ideologies heading over to Michigan. And making Michigan one of the best defenses in the country. And
this is a Michigan defense. Wink Martindale's been their DC, and he's obviously a legend in his own right, an NFL guy, and he's made them into a pretty dang good defense. But Jay and Kyle share the same defensive philosophy.
Absolutely.
And you mentioned what Jay's done at BYU. Trust me, I cover them as closely as anybody on the station, and it's been a transformation, is I think doing it like injustice of what he's done with that BYU defense. And to think about the level of athletes that he could work with, it's similar to Jason Beck on the offense side. Think about the athletes that he could work with at Michigan that BYU simply doesn't have, and the success he had with guys at BYU. But yeah, okay, I can see why you'd want to pull him from BYU, and that obviously has associated impacts for the BYU football program, because Klein Sitake, when he plucked Jay Hill away from Weber State, what a masterstroke.
Yeah.
Because that defense was in disarray. Elisa Tuyaki, Ed Lamb, their philosophy just wasn't working. It was in disarray. There's just zero doubt about it. Lysa essentially had been demoted or he wanted to step down, but Kalani wouldn't let him leave until the end of the season, and they had to find something. And talk about finding the perfect fit in Jay. And Jay came in, transformed that defense, and more importantly, I think had an overall positive impact on the entire roster at BYU because he's a head coach.
Yes.
And similar to a guy like Jason Beck, this is another point on the point for Jay Hill is there's a lot of people out there that wonder if Jay Hill wants to be a head coach again. And I can say unequivocally that yes, he does. He wants to do it at the Power 4 level. That's why he took the job at BYU, is to kind of take that leap, show he could have success doing this at this level, and then take the next step. Well, similar to Jason Beck, let's say you go to Michigan, have a great run of success. Every door, coaching-wise, is now open to you.
Yep.
And that's, I think, the pull of why Jay, despite all the success he's had in Provo, the fact that he's never been a coach outside the state of Utah, he was a graduate assistant at Utah, latched on with that staff, spent a decade there, spent almost a decade, no, more than a decade at Weber State, and obviously these past 3 seasons at BYU. He's never worked outside the state of Utah, but I think looking at it for what it is, like, you know what? I got familiar with Kyle Whittingham. Let's say Jason Beck goes there. He's gone against Jason Beck. He knows everything there is to know about the staff he'd be working with, and to have the success that he could have would set himself up to have every job open to him that he could possibly want to apply for.
Penn State is on the TV right now. They're playing against Clemson in their bowl game, the Pinstripe Bowl.
New York City, Yankee Stadium.
Penn State's up 3-0, and I bring up Penn State because, I mean, you remember a month ago, right before the Big 12 championship
How about less than a month ago?
However long it's been, whatever timeline we're in.
Yes.
Kalani Sitake is the front runner for that Penn State job.
Oh, he almost took it.
And he was almost out. He was almost gone. But one of the big things and one of the main things of when people asked him why he decided to stay at BYU, it was the fact that he wanted more resources for his assistant coaches.
Mm-hmm.
And he obviously gets that. He obviously gets some help with the NIL stuff, etc., and everything that went down to keep Kalani Sitake at BYU. But the thing that stood out the most to me was the fact that, of course, he wanted more for his assistants. He wanted to take care of his assistants, which I thought was absolutely phenomenal. A guy looking out for his guys. I love that. But I feel like that conversation changes a little bit now that Whittingham is the head coach at Michigan because it's Kyle Whittingham. It is Michigan. And that the pool, of course, of you just mentioned it, of wanting to go to a blue blood and wanting to go prove yourself, that kind of changes things, right? That kind of changes things. So you look at Jay Hill, and I think that's where BYU fans should be the most worried about when it comes to Kyle Whittingham taking this position at Michigan.
Yes, and okay, let's say that this all works out the way it kind of looks like it's trending, and that like, let me be very clear. I'm not reporting this is going to happen, but it looks like Kyle Whittingham we know is the head coach of Michigan.
Yes,
it looks like Jason Beck is going to be the OC at Michigan. Let's be very clear about that. It feels like Jay Hill likely on his way to Ann Arbor as well. Like, it feels like those are the kind of the brain trust of what's going to lead Michigan football into this new era under Kyle Whittingham. Well, what guys does Jay Hill want to take with him? Because he's worked with guys at BYU. When they turned over that staff, the only guy that did not get turned over was Gennaro Guilford, who's a former BYU alum himself. And Gennaro's turned into, I think, an incredible coach in his own right. Recently was named defensive passing game coordinator. He has made BYU into like a cornerback haven, which for, trust me, decades, BYU cornerbacks did not go there because it just was not a place you went if you were a cornerback. He has turned it in. So does he pull a guy like Gennaro Guilford away with him? Gary Anderson's been working hand in hand with Jay during his time at BYU. Yeah. And I know that a lot of people out there talk about Gary Anderson maybe being the new defensive coordinator at BYU. I just don't see it. I think Gary's at a point in his career where he enjoys kind of the consultant analyst role that he is in, where he's able to coach guys on the field. He sits up in that box next to Jay, and Jay bounces ideas off him, but he's not the actual guy in the chair.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to worry about all the other stuff. He can coach. That's what Gary wants to do. So takes Gary with him. Does he pull away Sione Pua? Does he pull away Justin Enna, Kelly Pupin? Who does he pull away from that? And that obviously has the impact on, okay, how does Kalani Sitake then turn around and fill those positions? Who does he fill them with?
The same thing can be said about Utah staff.
Oh, sure.
Right?
Trust me. Kyle Whittingham knows everybody on that staff.
Right.
He put it together.
We talk about Jason Beck, right? But where does this leave an Ohio native like Jim Harding?
Yes.
And his longtime
his wife's from Michigan, by the way.
Associate head coach. See, there you go.
Here's the thing. I'd be stunned if Jim Harding doesn't go to Ann Arbor because him and Kyle have been really, really tight. The funny thing was, I don't know how people know this, Jim Harding held the title of associate or assistant head coach at Utah, even though the head coach in waiting was Morgan Scalley.
Yeah.
Shows you the respect that Jim Harding had. And by the way, Jim Harding's offensive line, pretty darn good.
Really good. You have 2 first-round prospects.
Yeah, so
this season.
You think if you're going to Michigan and offensive line trench plays, what Kyle Whittingham's built his program around, you're probably going to take a guy like that. So,
you take the architect of what's giving you that.
So think about it this way. Essentially, you could decimate or at least take a large chunk of the Utah offensive staff. You pluck away the defensive coordinator from BYU, who probably takes some guys with him. So essentially, you're taking 2 of these staffs, and it's going to force Morgan Scalley and Kalani Sitake to turn around and be like, all right, who's out there that I can bring in? Who do I know in these coaching circles? And that is going to be the intriguing part about this. I tweeted last night, ready for the coordinator shuffle? Because it's about to really get going.
The dominoes are going to fall.
And the roulette wheel, it's going to start spinning.
Yes.
And that doesn't even discount all of a sudden, let's say that these 2 staffs essentially are plucking from each other.
Yep.
Like, this is going to have an impact that's going to ripple far and wide. And get ready for it, because don't get yourself too attached to certain coaches, because they very well could be wearing different colors in very short order.
Absolutely. And this we've talked about the coaching shuffle. We've still yet to talk about what can potentially happen with the player shuffle, right? Going back to the BYU perspective, if Jay Hill takes that defensive coordinator position at Michigan, I would be very, very sad to see a guy like Faletau Satawala follow him. The sophomore, right, coming out of Bountiful, but he's been phenomenal. And for him to kind of make that jump and potentially follow Jay Hill to Michigan. Yeah. That would open up an even bigger path to be an NFL prospect.
Sure, but that's kind of how things go with this. Is Jay Hill
and who else does he take? Right?
Exactly. I'm saying Faletau is kind of just one name. Like, what other players are like? Hey, I like playing for Jay. I want to go with that. Like versus I want to stay here in Provo and be with Kalani Sitake. Like that's all going to be a conversation piece. But think of what Jay did. Jay brought Faletau Satawala in as a 4-star prospect, and trust me, there were more than a few, and yours truly included, thought that Faletau was going to be like a day 1 starter in that secondary for BYU. Well, all he did was essentially force Faletau to compete with guys and force his way onto the field. And to Faletau's credit, it took him about a season, but this past year, breakout star. But Tanner Wall just was named All Big 12 first team.
Yes.
As a former walk-on wide receiver.
I talk about it with Christian a lot in the post games and during the course of the football season. Me and Christian, I always want to bring up Tanner Wall because I feel like he's so underappreciated for everything he's done, and I think a lot of credit has to go to Jay Hill, who of course his hands on with the safeties.
He's the safeties coach.
And is the safeties coach.
Yeah. So my point is, he made Tanner Wall into an all first conference safety.
Yeah.
Tanner Wall came out of the D.C. area, a walk-on who dreamed of playing for BYU. Tanner put plenty of work in his own right, because you don't just succeed just with coaching. You have to put the work in, you have to prove it on the field. But he essentially did not just hand Faletau Satawala the job when it could have been very easily to say, hey, Faletau, it's your gig. Go out there and do it. He forced Faletau to really show what he is capable of, and to Faletau's credit, he has succeeded, and he turned into a bona fide star this season.
Yeah.
And to watch him potentially go with Jay to Michigan be very, very tough to watch, because it feels like Faletau is kind of the heir apparent to what Tanner Wall did. It feels like Tanner Wall, first team all-conference, off to the NFL, getting whatever chance he gets. I don't know what's going to happen there. I hope he gets a chance, because as a first team all-conference safety at a Power 4 level, you should get a chance in the NFL.
100% agree.
But it feels like Faletau was kind of just going to step right into that role, be that next star free safety for BYU. But the tough part is, if Jay Hill goes, be pretty natural for a guy like Faletau to be like, hey, I had a lot of success with this guy. I'm going to follow him to Michigan.
The dominoes are going to fall, and we're going to continue. We're going to see coaches step away. We're going to see players follow that staff. I'm curious to see everything that happens over the course of the next couple of weeks as Kyle Whittingham fills up his coaching staff and everything that's going to follow with it, from the transfer portal, from other coaches being taken from staffs. Right, where does this leave Jim Harding? Who does Jay Hill take with him? Those answers, I'm sure, will come sooner rather than later, and we'll see a massive fallout from Whittingham taking this Michigan position.
Well, there's just zero doubt about it.
Absolutely.
It's going to ripple far and wide, and just be ready for it.
Absolutely. BYU has a game today. They take on.
Hold on, what?
They take on Georgia Tech.
We're playing football today?
How does all this news impact the way BYU looks at this game? At the top of the hour, we're going to jump in. We'll begin to break down BYU versus Georgia Tech. We'll start talking Pop-Tarts Bowl. We'll start talking about, of course, how this news can potentially impact what's happening on the field today with BYU. But first, technical fouls. Jake's in the chair.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of his favorites.
Oh, yeah. We're coming back.
With it being a special Saturday show edition with College Football Saturday Infused, we'll talk technical fouls, and that's coming up on the other side. Don't go anywhere. More when we get back here on College Football Saturday. It is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, today through Sunday. Mountain America Expo Center. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, today through Sunday. Mountain America Expo Center. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Today through Sunday. Mountain America Expo Center. Today, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
Attention Jazz Nation. We know you've been waiting on the edge of your seat, and the time has finally arrived. All tickets are available now. Let's go! Your favorite players will be back on the court, bringing the energy all season long. Whether you're looking for season tickets, mini plans, or single game matchups, there's a perfect option for every kind of fan. Show up loud and proud at Delta Center this season. Don't miss your chance to be part of the action. Buy your tickets today at UtahJazz.com. Bar Dub Grill is where roadside classics meet ranch-raised flavor. Sink your teeth into juicy, handcrafted burgers made with premium Bar W beef straight from the local Utah farm. From the bold cowboy barbecue burger to the sweet and savory Aloha burger, paired with crispy cowboy fries, hand-spun shakes, or signature spud nuts. Soft, airy, and unforgettable. Bar Dub Grill delivers honest eats with cowboy swagger. Bar Dub Grill in Nephi with easy access right off exit 222 in Nephi.
A 15-year-old girl who chewed through a rope to escape a serial killer.
I used my front teeth to saw on the rope in my mouth.
The killer prowled the Pacific Northwest in the early 70s. He's been convicted of murdering 2 young women, but suspected of many more.
Maybe there's another one in that area.
Follow and binge all episodes of Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, available now wherever you listen.
Everyone deserves access to quality health, but for half the world's population, essential health services are out of reach. At AmeriCares, we know access to quality health saves and improves lives. With good health, people can attend school, be productive at work, care for their families, and contribute to strong communities. That's why we envision pathways to health and opportunity for all. We care. It's our call to action. It's in our history. It's in our name. AmeriCares. AmeriCares about disaster survivors, about free medical aid, what doctors need, our communities, our neighbors, our families. AmeriCares about good health. For a better world. Learn more at americares.org/goodhealth. Together, we can build pathways to health. americares.org/goodhealth. Join us.
Want to get the latest info on Utah's newest sports franchise? Sign up for the Utah Mammoth newsletter. Get exclusive analysis, plus the latest news and notes on the Utah Mammoth. Sign up today at KSLSports.com for the Utah Mammoth newsletter. The KSL Sports Zone and Hercules Credit Union are highlighting people that impact youth sports. Nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week at KSLSports.com.
If you're coming from the street with dirty shoes on your feet, that's a technical foul. If you switch the radio to some modern music show, that's a technical foul. If you touch the thermostat,
you'll get hit with a bat.
'Cause that's a technical foul.
You will feel my wrath.
That's a technical foul.
Personal foul, 69, offense. He was giving them the business.
A technical foul.
Welcome back in. It is College Football Saturday here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It is a special edition of the Saturday show. Jake Hatch joining me, filling in for Christian Esparza, and in traditional Saturday show spirit, we'll do some technical fouls and go and reward some of the funnier, some of the dumber things that we've seen across the sports world throughout the course of the week. And we'll start with the NBA and the NFL, who are now competing with each other for Christmas Day. For the longest time, right? NBC or not NBC? The NBA they owned Christmas.
Yeah, they played 5 games.
NBA Christmas Day, right? That was the tradition. And then, was it last year? Last year was the first year, or 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
2 years ago was the first year.
Now, the NFL has played games on Christmas before because when it's worked out where Christmas Day is on a Sunday, obviously, they're playing games, or if it's on a Saturday or Monday, like they'll play games. But this is kind of a concerted effort now. Like, we're talking like Thursday. They're putting triple header on there.
Netflix is a part of it.
Last year on it was a Christmas on a Wednesday, if I recall correctly. They put a Christmas game there. Like, trust me, the NFL is encroaching on what the NBA considers their territory, and it led to this.
Some of the bigger names and some of the bigger people who are a part of the NBA, right? Some of the bigger voices, they let it be known this Christmas that they are not happy with the NFL encroaching on their territory. Charles Barkley, from inside the NBA, now a part of ESPN, he said during their Inside the NBA show, "We used to have this day to ourselves, but you know Roger Goodell and them pigs at the NFL always want to hog every day of the week now." And so now just taking it a step further of this NBA versus NFL clash that we're seeing, where both of them want to own Christmas.
Yeah.
Both of them want to own the ratings on Christmas.
Yeah, they do. And let's be honest, it's not really a contest, though.
Unfortunately, no.
The NFL is a Leviathan. Like, every year they come out with the top 100 rated broadcasts of the entire year. And if less than 80 of them are NFL broadcasts, I will be absolutely stunned. The NFL just owns. And we're talking, this is just TV in general. It's not just sports TV. They own ratings. And that's why the NFL can essentially name their number that these TV networks, and everyone like, done. There's no questions. There's not a negotiation. The NBA wants, obviously, to keep the NFL out of their territory, Christmas Day and the like. But I get what you're saying, Sir Charles, but understand that the NFL's like, that's cute, but we're going to keep doing it.
I haven't seen any numbers yet as far as viewership goes for this year's NFL on Netflix. But the NBA trying their best to make sure everybody has eyes on their games. All the games were on ABC this season. They even had their Mickey Mouse Disney alternate broadcast.
That was weird.
I tuned in for maybe 2 minutes. I enjoyed it. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
But that might just be my inner child enjoying things that are dumb and mundane, like Mickey Mouse shooting a 3-point shot.
Yeah.
But it's not a battle. I get what Charles Barkley's saying, and I love any time that Charles Barkley goes and takes on, says anything controversial. I love it.
Yeah.
But right now it is no contest. The NFL is king, and it continues to be king, and eventually they'll own Christmas Day.
If they don't already. That's the crazy thing about this is it just, I understand, like, once again, what the NBA's thinking. It's like, man, can you just, stop? But the Leviathan that is the NFL's where they're like, yeah, if you're Roger Goodell, you're like, why? Make me. Like, I get it. And the NFL, it's a year-round league. Like, we cover it 365 days a year because it is that compelling. And they have built it into, think about what the NFL draft is. Like, we get hundreds of thousands of people together in some location. Was it Green Bay this past year?
Yes. Yeah. I think, yeah.
They went to Green Bay, Wisconsin. They had hundreds of thousands of people. Like, we're talking like tripled the size of Green Bay, Wisconsin, to watch names of guys being picked by their teams.
To watch the commissioner hug the first-round picks, man. Yeah, come on.
Come on. The NFL is just, they are a money-making machine.
Yeah.
And props to them. I get why the NBA
100%
gets upset about this. All right. My technical foul. Are we really surprised that, Draymond Green is keeping up with the antics? Did you guys see this earlier this week on Monday?
No, I have not.
So him and Steve Kerr got into it in a heated exchange Monday night, and Kerr sent him to the locker room. Said, get out of here. He essentially hit the showers. He missed the final 20 minutes of a 120-97 win over the Orlando Magic.
Okay.
And Kerr was trying to get guys locked in, and it says that Kerr said this: "We had it out a little bit. He made his decision to go back to the locker room to cool off. That's all I'm going to say about it. Everything is private." Unquote. Is this just Draymond being Draymond, and the Warriors are just going to keep rolling with it? Because it just feels like with all the stuff that Draymond has done, this is like par for the course, and they just keep rolling with it.
At some point, they have to. At some point, you just have to move on, right? I mean, it feels like Draymond at this point in the league doesn't really necessarily bring you a lot of value when it comes to his actual playing. And now it's just more antics and more bad publicity more than anything.
And the other issue is we're already hearing rumors. I don't know if you guys saw this morning. The Warriors are allegedly looking at maybe bringing in a guy like Anthony Davis.
Oh,
because I think that they're trying to extend that window just as much as they can with Steph Curry, and they think that AD might be the answer for it. But isn't that the thought with maybe bringing AD in, that you ship him over to join Klay Thompson in Dallas?
Draymond Green becomes a Dallas Maverick?
I don't know.
Reunites with Klay Thompson?
Yeah.
I'd take it.
But Draymond's quote, "We've been at this for a long time now. Sometimes you're with people for a long time. There's a level of comfort and bleep happens. We move forward," unquote.
I wouldn't be surprised if they try to move on from him for sure, especially if Steve Kerr finally decides that it's time. Because this isn't the first time Draymond's been in some type of scrap with a teammate or a coach, right? You have the whole Kevin Durant situation back in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
The Jordan Poole punch in 2022, and
we can go down just this list of things that he has done, and it's absolutely nuts.
Him always going after NBA players. Last year, it seems like he was going after Rudy Gobert a lot too, and now you have this whole situation with Steve Kerr, man.
And then real quick, the IRS is going to make out like a bandit with Anthony Joshua. You saw the fight between him and Jake Paul.
Oh, yeah.
So Anthony Joshua is a British citizen. Well, he's subject, because he fought this fight in the United States, to both United States tax laws and Britain's tax laws. He reportedly made like 90-ish million off of the gate of that game, which is, by the way, making out like a bandit with regards to that money. But there are reports out there that he could be subject to more than $66 million in tax liability over that gate.
Wow.
So 2/3 of that money gone.
You don't mess with the IRS.
No, but I was like, that's a lot. And that's coming from
lot of money.
He owes the United States. He also, because he's a British citizen, he also owes Britain as well.
Wow.
So
that is
crazy.
It's a lot of cash, man. That's a lot of cash. But he did knock out Jake Paul.
Anybody who thought Jake Paul was going to win that fight is nuts.
Jake Paul can't fight real boxers.
No. I told Lloyd on the way out on last Friday, I was like, I just like that there's nobody else universally hated more than Jake Paul. And it just makes my heart happy.
Yeah.
Because he's not a good person.
Yeah.
So it was fun to watch him get his teeth knocked in a little bit.
And broke his jaw quite literally. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep.
We'll take a break. Coming up on the other side, we'll jump into BYU Georgia Tech. We'll jump into the Pop-Tarts Bowl and start breaking that down, and of course continue to talk about how the news of Kyle Whittingham taking that Michigan position can potentially affect what we see on the field tonight with BYU. All of that on the other side. BYU versus Georgia Tech, the Pop-Tarts Bowl kickoff coming up at 1:30. Reminder to catch me and Christian Esparza on the post-game show immediately following the conclusion of that game. We'll be streaming it on Facebook, on Twitter, on KSLSports.com, and on YouTube. And then, of course, on 1280 a.m. this afternoon. So that is the Cougar postgame show immediately following the conclusion of BYU taking on Georgia Tech. We'll jump into game breakdown coming up on the other side here on College Football Saturday. It is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Broadcasting from the Mountain Home Services Studio, this is 97.5 KZNS FM Colbert, 1280 KZNS AM Salt Lake City, and 102.7 KSL FM HD2 Salt Lake City Midvale. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Whether you're stuck in the office,
I believe you have my stapler,
in your car, or at your in-laws.
You want a piece of me? You bet I do.
The Zone is with you every step of the way. Download the KSL Sports app to get live streaming of your favorite shows and access to all the latest updates on your favorite teams. Your home for the best coverage of the Utes, Cougars, Jazz, and Mammoth is on air, online, and on the KSL Sports app. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Utah Mammoth hockey is back at Delta Center. Don't miss your chance to be part of the excitement as the Mammoth hit the ice all season long. Grab your friends, rally the family, and lock in your seats for the fast-paced, hard-hitting action. Great seats are available for most games, but they're selling fast. Head to UtahMammoth.com to get your tickets today. That's UtahMammoth.com. Your home for all things Mammoth hockey.
All right, Utah, this is your shot. KSL and Ivory Homes are teaming up to send you to the big game in Santa Clara on February 8th. If you've ever dreamed of stepping onto football's biggest stage, the time to play is now. To qualify, just stop by any Ivory model home between now and January 31st. Walk through and ask about Ivory's super low rates, as low as 4.99% for a 30-year fixed. So get off the sidelines, visit an Ivory model home today, and enter for your chance to see the most incredible halftime show and the ultimate football experience. Start now at ivoryhomes.com/super. That's ivoryhomes.com/super.
This sweepstakes is open until January 31st, 2025 for residents of Utah who are at least 18. No purchase necessary. See the official rules at ivoryhomes.com/super.
Hey, Doug, I hear you're giving out free test drives.
Yeah?
How about bringing around that sweet Jeep Grand Cherokee?
Seth, you're 16 and don't have a dime to your name.
Yeah, but my daddy does. When I pass the test on Thursday, I'm going right back here to Doug Smith.
You don't even have a license?
Wrap up the year sales event at Doug Smith Jeep, now through January 2nd. Get 0% APR financing for 60 months on 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokees. No one knows Jeep like Doug.
The holidays are coming. Is your home ready? Whether you're hosting a holiday party or reading a book, a brighter home makes your home more comfortable. Mountain Home Services can save you energy and brighten your space. Mountain Home Services can improve your home with LED lighting upgrades, smart switches, and modern lighting controls, perfect for cozy holiday nights and year-round savings. And KSL listeners can save with exclusive offers to brighten your holidays. Serving Utah since 1954, Mountain Home Services was the first to offer upfront pricing with no hidden fees and 100% satisfaction guarantee. Protect your home with an electrical inspection, surge protection, and keep your family warm this winter with a generator. And KSL listeners enjoy a discounted price on a fireplace tune-up for just $99. Visit mountainhomeutah.com or call 801-543-2222. That's mountainhomeutah.com or 801-543-2222. Mountain Home Services, keeping Utah homes safe and warm since 1954.
Some things in life are preventable. Ooh, gas station sushi. Yum! That's preventable.
I'm just going to tell my boss what I really think of him.
Oh boy. That's preventable.
Maybe a face tattoo would look good.
That's preventable too. The Colorectal Cancer Alliance wants you to know a lot of things in life are preventable. Colon cancer is common and deadly, but that's also preventable.
Oh my gosh, it's a bear! Let's get a selfie with it.
Also preventable. The Alliance is doing its part to end colorectal cancer. Now, do yours. Get involved. And if you're 45 or older, talk to your doctor about the colon cancer screening options available to you.
Betcha I can eat 50 hot dogs in an hour.
Preventable!
Actually, Your Honor, I'm representing myself.
Go to colorectalcancer.org to learn more. That's colorectalcancer.org. And together, we can save lives.
Hey, honey.
Oh, no.
Check this out.
No.
This is College Football Saturday on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
And I want to welcome you back into this special edition of the Saturday Show. It is College Football Saturday, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I'm Alex Napolis. Sitting alongside me, filling in for Christian Esparza, it is Jake Hatch. And then, of course, you have Parker Long sitting behind the glass, pushing the buttons, and making the magic happen. Let's jump into some bowl prep. Let's talk BYU taking on Georgia Tech. The Pop Darts Bowl happening today at 1:30. We'll be going And taking you right up to kickoff, we'll be going up until 1:30 today, breaking down all the action, breaking down everything you need to know ahead of this game. And we'll start, of course, with the actual X's and O's. And I think the biggest storyline, the biggest thing that BYU fans need to be aware of for this game, no LJ Martin and no Sione Moa. That running back room, already thin as it is, and it just got even thinner.
Oh, no, yeah, and your top 2 running backs are out. It's not great, Bob.
Not good.
And so that's the thing about this is BYU, they've had some idea that they weren't going to have either of these guys for some time because LJ Martin's already undergone shoulder surgery. There's been pictures of him circulating at the airport, obviously that big shoulder brace and that type of stuff, like in terms of having that surgery. So they have had time now to kind of scheme up how they want to attack this. But when you don't have the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year,
that's a loss.
That's a big loss. And that's the concern I have in terms of just looking at this BYU game from that lens is this is a Georgia Tech team that's built a lot like BYU. They want to run the football, and they want to run it well. And they have one of the top true dual-threat quarterbacks in Haynes King. They also got 2 very capable running backs, all of which are supposed to be available for this game. And that is the concern I have, is if BYU cannot generate meaningful rushing yardage in terms of balancing their offense, we have seen what that looks like. Look at the 2 losses they absorbed this year to Texas Tech. Texas Tech forced BYU to kind of be one-dimensional, just essentially shut down BYU. And that's the concern you got to have if you're BYU in this game is we have to find a way to have some sort of a rushing attack. Whether it's Jovessa DeMooney, who Aaron Roderick highlighted earlier this week as a guy that they're looking forward to seeing what he's got, or Enoch Nawahine, or Preston Rex, or using fly sweeps with Parker Kingston and Cody Hagan. You have to find a way outside of the feet of Bear Bachmeier, who, by the way, has his own injury concerns from that Big 12 title game, to generate rushing offense.
Absolutely. LJ Martin, 236 carries on the season, 1,305 yards, 12 touchdowns. You go back, I mean, just look at the Cincinnati game, right? He's playing through injury, but he really put that offense on his back. And it was such a phenomenal performance from him. Without LJ, BYU doesn't win that game. I 100%, 100% am on that. And phenomenal win in Cincinnati, but you're absolutely right. Texas Tech's defense made BYU one-dimensional in that championship game. They made them one-dimensional down there in Lubbock too, in that loss. And we saw how that impacts that offense. And the biggest cog of this offense is LJ Martin, and not having him is a massive loss. But you also look at, Kalani Sitake mentioned this earlier in the week, right? Everybody's playing banged up in this game.
Yeah. It's a long season. This is the 14th game of the year for BYU.
And that includes your quarterback in Bear Bachmeier, right? The picture circulating all over Instagram a couple weeks ago was Bear Bachmeier in a boot, where I'm curious to see where his health stands and how healthy is Bear Bachmeier heading into this game. Because I think while it hasn't necessarily been said by Kalani or anybody that it's going to be Bear Bachmeier, I think the assumption is that it is going to be Bear Bachmeier, and he's going to be playing through that injury.
Yeah, the expectation is he does play. Kalani Sitake said that he expects him to play. Aaron Roderick used the term, it's not a serious injury. Now, that was like the very first practice ahead of bowl prep. Who knows how the succeeding practices ultimately went, because we're not allowed to watch, obviously. And I do think you let Bear go, and if he shows any ill effects, you do yank him in a game like this because you don't want to have any lasting impact in terms of affecting next season for BYU. But you give him a chance to play. And I think if you look at it in terms of the best case scenario for this, think back to that Iowa State game.
Yeah.
Obviously, LJ Martin gets injured early on after that shot to the shoulder, and then they lose him. And essentially, that entire rest of that game, I think it was like something like 85 or 90% of the offense was generated through Bear Bachmeier via his feet or his arm. And that's the type of performance without LJ Martin, without Sione Moa, that if you're in your heart of hearts thinking for BYU, like, how are they going to pull this off? That's kind of got to be the thought process. The Bear just comes out and is a Bear. He's a Grizzly. And he puts everything on his back and leads you to a victory, because I just don't know what you can count on in terms of having the running backs or whatever rushing situation you're going to have in this game. I think it's going to have to be, you think about what Bear did against Iowa State and say, Bear, you got to lead us to a win.
Yeah. Worst case scenario, you have a hobbled Bear Bachmeier who plays similarly to what we saw in the championship game, where he goes for 115 yards. Couldn't really get anything going in the rushing game either. Ended up with -2. I think it's the first time that Bear Bachmeier ended up with anything less than like 15 yards rushing in a game, and ends up with 2 interceptions, no touchdowns thrown for Bear. And so I am curious to see, one, of course, how healthy he is, and then two, if BYU gets into a situation where, again, you saw in the championship game where they're unable to move the ball down the field, where they're unable to generate offense, and they're unable to get anything going, if Bear Bachmeier, if he gets pulled, and they look at a different option, because we saw McKay Hillstead in garbage time, right? In a couple of games, we saw, I think Bourget won series in that opening game against Portland State.
Yeah.
And so what do the options look like behind Bear Bachmeier if Bear Bachmeier isn't 100% and isn't able to really get anything going with his potential injury?
I've got concerns. Let's just put it that way, because let's be honest. You had 2 quarterbacks in McKay Hillstead, who had started games at Utah State. You also had Trayson Bourget, who had started games at Western Michigan. Both of them had well over a year of experience in this BYU system. Bear Bachmeier didn't show up until mid-June, everybody. That's when he officially arrived on campus in Provo. He had about 5 weeks, give or take a few days, to essentially get up to speed on everything that BYU's offense entailed. And that included Matt Mitchell as the quarterback's coach, Aaron Roderick, essentially walking him through, okay, this is what the playbook entails. And then in the roughly 3 weeks of training camp, Bear succeeded to such a level that he was far and away the best option at quarterback. So it doesn't make you feel real good that if he's ineffective, that you have a ready-made option sitting on the bench there. Now, a guy that BYU coaches have been very high on, who just recently joined the roster, is Enoch Watson. Now, Enoch is a return missionary. Actually just got home, literally, I think just a couple of months ago. He has joined the team officially for bowl prep, because he obviously, when school gets out, he can join the team because he's going to enroll in January. I don't think you roll the dice and throw him out there as a guy who hasn't had any significant...
for his first snaps since...
Yeah, be like, hey, get out there, kid. You haven't played football in 3 years. So let's see what you got.
Right.
I just don't see that happening. So I do think this kind of rides on Bear Bachmeier. And if he does prove to be ineffective, I think then you go to McKay Hillstead and see what you got, where McKay's more of a real run-first threat versus anything else. But I do think you see how far you can ride Bear in this game.
Absolutely. And going back to that championship game, I remember that there was a lot of people calling and saying, look, if he's hurt, pull him and see if you can get a spark with McKay. But I wonder how much that spark is, because you have a true freshman who didn't go through spring training, who came in and essentially beat out McKay, beat out Bourget, and beat out everybody else, right, for that starting position. So how much of a spark do you really get with McKay Hillstead?
And that's the question that would have to be answered in that circumstance. So I'm interested to see ultimately which way they go with that in this game, should it go that way. Because I think that you're just going to see what Bear's got and really see what he's capable of in this game. Flipping it over, I talked about the fact that Georgia Tech, they're going to run the ball. That's just the way that Brent Key has built this program. And Haynes King, he has become, I think that the archetype of what Haynes King is a true dual threat quarterback. He leads the team in rushing, leads them in passing. That's kind of what I think BYU would like Bear Bachmeier to become down the line, with regards to, I think, Bear being a better passer in time, because I don't think Haynes is that refined of a passer, but just that nearly, I think it's like 2,800 yards passing and nearly 1,000 yards rushing. That's kind of the archetype of what you want a true dual threat quarterback to be in this day and age, of what I think Bear should aspire to be. But that's on the other side of this game, is you have that guy in Haynes King, who's the heart and soul of Georgia Tech. BYU's defense, as they did against Texas Tech down in Lubbock, as they did for a long stretch of that Big 12 title game, they're going to have to hold BYU in this game without LJ Martin, without Sione Moa, and try and keep Georgia Tech in check here. Because if they don't, be a really, really long day in Orlando, and something that Cougar fans and, frankly, the BYU football program would rather forget.
Absolutely. And I think that is absolutely going to be the biggest key for BYU in this one, is being able to contain King. This is a Georgia Tech team who averages 263 passing yards through the air. That's the middle of the pack middle of the pack in the ACC, but they are the second best rushing team in the ACC, and a lot of that too comes with the scrambling nature of Haynes King too. And so I think the challenge is going to be for the offensive line, for the defensive line for BYU to be able to contain that rushing attack and be able to put a stop on that and try to force them to throw the ball down the field. Again, middle of the pack when it comes to in ACC play, middle of the pack in being able to find yardage through the air for King.
Well, and that's what I'm looking at in terms of. We talked about Jay Hill earlier today on the show. If you missed it, you can go back and podcast it. It's available wherever you get your podcasts. But we talked about the fact that Jay Hill, he's considered to be a defensive savant, and he's really transformed BYU's defense. Well, if this is indeed his final game leading BYU as their defensive coordinator, this is if you can keep them in check, it's a good performance because that's not an easy team to defend in Georgia Tech. They held right with Georgia in their regular season finale in their rivalry game. Absolutely. They only lost by a touchdown. Like, it was not a blowout by any means. And that shows the juice that Georgia Tech has. So, yeah, Keanu Tanuvasa, John Taumaiapea on the interior. On the defensive end side of things, Bodie Schoonover, Vili Puha. They've got to obviously prove what they can do on the defensive line, because if they cannot contain what Georgia Tech has in that rushing attack, it can be a very quick game, and it can be very, very one-sided.
And as far as BYU goes to attacking that Georgia Tech defense, they are not great at stopping the run. They are not very good at stopping the run on the defensive side of the ball. And, you know, if you have an LJ Martin that's healthy, that's ready to go, and he's available for this game, I think you feel comfortable with BYU being able to run the ball effectively and efficiently on this Georgia Tech defense. But, again, it's the fact that he is out, and I'm curious to see if a guy like Nawahine is able to step up and be able to hurt them in their deficiencies, and that, of course, is the rushing defense for Georgia Tech.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see where this game kind of turns, because BYU, they have given up a lot of yards all year long. That's just not if you look at it just by pure numbers, BYU's defense is nothing like great in terms of the yardage they give up, but when they get really good is limiting points.
Yeah.
Making what should be touchdown opportunities into field goals and turnovers on downs, and really just getting turnovers in general. And that's where I think BYU has to help their offense out. If the defense can afford it, strip the ball out, get some interceptions, set the offense up in advantageous positions. Because if you want to win this football game without your star running backs, speaking of LJ Martin and Sione Moa, you got to set this offense up in good field position. That includes, obviously, special teams doing its part if given the opportunity. But it's more on the defense in terms of, okay, generate turnovers. And yeah, they're going to give up yards. That's just kind of how this BYU defense has been built, but it's between the 20s. Like, if you want to motor between the 20s, BYU's totally cool with that. You can pick up as many yards as right there. You get inside the 20 in terms of the scoring area, they stiffen and they get really, really good in those scenarios. And that's kind of got to be the thought process here is like, okay, they can have what they want in terms of the open field, but when they get to where it's scoring time, we've got to, limit touchdowns and make them field goals, and then B, if given the opportunity, take the ball away. That was one thing that hurt BYU in both losses to Texas Tech, is they had opportunities to turn Texas Tech over and did not take advantage of it. Unlike the other 11 games, when BYU actually pretty darn good about when given the opportunity to turn a team over, they took the ball away. You got to do that in a game like this.
100%. First, to your point, red zone defense for BYU has been phenomenal. And I think that's probably one of the areas that has impressed me the most when it comes to this BYU defense is how great they're able to clamp up in the red zone. I mean, you go back to that Texas Tech game down there in Lubbock, and how many times did they have a chance for touchdowns that ended up resulting in field goals because they gave credit to Texas Tech offense, right? Baron Morton threw the ball down and got them in those positions, but BYU's defense, when it comes to red zone, when it came to the red zone, they were phenomenal. And I think that you're absolutely right. That's where they've excelled all season long, but also in turning the ball over. And one of the things that stood out in the losses, both losses for BYU, is the fact that they weren't able to give Bear Bachmeier the ball in good field position. Right?
Correct.
They weren't able to set them up in a spot with a turnover. They weren't able to set them up well with this big play on special teams, and that's where it lacked. And I think tonight, especially if again, going back to the conversation we had about Bear Bachmeier, if he's not 100% and he's playing a little hobbled, why not give him short fields? Why not give him the opportunity to do less and be able to hopefully punch it into the end zone, especially if he's not 100%. Driving the ball down the field without your two running backs, with a potentially not 100% Bear Bachmeier, it seems like a much taller task than, hey, Maury Bamba gets an INT, or Alexander gets an INT, sets up BYU past the 50 and gives a short field to that offense.
Yeah, that's what you have to hope you can get the opportunity to do, just that, because if you don't, the thought of a guy like Bear Bachmeier driving the team 75, 80 yards every time and cashing him for touchdowns, it doesn't seem likely. Let's put it that way. Yeah. And so, if you can give him, like, say, you turn a team over and you get him on the plus side of the 50, like 45 going in, that's infinitely easier to cash in for points, especially when you have a kicker of Will Farron's stature. Now, I know that Will's had his struggles down the stretch this season, but I still trust him that when you need a big kick, he has proven time and time again to do that. So, to your point, you have to obviously take advantage of those opportunities when given them. And I feel like that's the game plan for BYU without LJ Martin, without Sonny Moore, not having their regular rushing prowess out there. You got to be plus in the margin in terms of the turnover margin, and trust that Bear Bachmeier can put on a performance like he did, like the likes of an Iowa State, because Texas Tech's defense is downright elite.
Yes.
There's just no doubt about it. They're one of the best defenses in the entire country. Iowa State was a pretty good defense, and Bear held zone against that. I consider Georgia Tech's defense to kind of be one of those, like, similar to Iowa State.
It's a good comparison.
It's a good defense, but it's not downright elite like Texas Tech. So in theory, Bear should have a better opportunity, but also his health status plays into all of this.
100%. Not that I partake, or not that I'm into this. BYU 3.5 favorite over Georgia Tech.
Yeah,
I thought that was going to be a little bit bigger and more in favor of BYU. But
if they had LJ Martin, it probably would have been.
But now with everything we know without LJ, I think a 3.5 is probably fair, and I think that's kind of where I put BYU is probably to be touchdown favorites. I thought they were going to come in right, and I think the conversation completely changes if everybody's healthy. But because they're dealing through some injuries, because they're dealing where's Chase Roberts' status in all this? Right, he sat out against UCF, the final game of the season, did come back for that championship game. But what was the extent of his injury, and how's his status heading into this game? Right. Kalani said a lot of players are dealing with injuries. A lot of players are going to be playing banged up, and so with all that considered in mind, I'm curious to see where BYU matches up against Georgia Tech as far as the health goes. Where's Bear Bachmeier in his health? Where's Chase Roberts in his health? Where's how healthy is everybody, and can they play through those injuries and put on a good performance against Georgia Tech? I think that's going to be key in this one, and I think that's why my thought from what I thought was going to be a blowout against Georgia Tech, right? They're going to be able to get by them fine, has now kind of changed a little bit to this might be a closer game than I think a lot of people expected.
I do think it's going to be a close game. I feel like, considering all the circumstances we know going in, it's setting up for that type of game. But that's what we want in bowl season. We want good competitive games. That's what you hope you get in this one, is that these two teams go at it, and they call it the People's Championship for a reason. There's sprinkles all over everything. There's sprinkles in the end zone. There's sprinkles on the helmets.
Right.
They have put on a show, speaking of the Pop-Tarts Bowl, and the hope is that BYU and Georgia Tech deliver with a good game.
This is probably the most anticipated bowl game outside of the college football playoff. Yeah. Everybody looks forward to the Pop-Tarts Bowl, and I think a lot of credit has to go to the Pop-Tarts Bowl and Pop-Tarts for the spectacle they put on, right?
Yeah.
The toaster trophy.
Oh yeah.
Lowering the toaster into the toaster at the end of the game.
Yeah, the winning team gets to pick whichever Pop-Tart that they want to eat. Yeah.
Exactly. A lot of credit goes into.
There's like 6 choices this year, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, and by the way, it's a social media phenomenon, because look at this. I just scroll my Twitter feed. There's one right there. Happy Pop-Tarts Bowl game to all who celebrate. It's the strawberry going down, and dreams really do come true as he goes into the toaster. Scroll up 2 places. Today is the holiest of days, and it's a GIF of the Wildberry Pop-Tart ripping off its wrapper. People enjoy this game. It's become a cultural phenomenon in its own right, and the hope is that, along with all the hoopla of the, obviously, Pop-Tarts and what they do with the game itself, is that the on-field product matches that.
Absolutely. The People's National Championship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Love it. The Pop-Tarts Bowl. Kickoff coming up here at 1:30. we'll have the post-game show immediately following the conclusion of that. Christian Esparza and myself that will be streaming here on Twitter, on Facebook, on KSLSports.com, on YouTube, and, of course, on 1280 AM. You can catch that immediately following the conclusion of this one. We're going to take a break, but when we come back, there's also the lingering news of Jay Hill and how that potentially can affect that defense and how potentially that can affect players who are getting ready for this game. So we'll dive into that a little bit more and continue to break down BYU taking on Georgia Tech. That's coming up on the other side here on College Football Saturday. It is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The KSL Sports Zone is your home for live local sports. Tonight, the Utah Jazz are in San Antonio to play the Spurs, 6 o'clock on 97.5 The Zone. Tomorrow, the Raiders host the New York Giants, 2 o'clock on 97.5 The Zone. And Monday, the Utah Mammoth return from their 6-day Christmas break to host the Nashville Predators at 7 o'clock on 97.5 The Zone. If you want to hear your company's name right here associated with these great brands, email Stephanie Palmer at spalmer@ksl.com and join the winning team at the KSL Sports Zone.
During the Mazda More to Move You sales event, Tim Daly Mazda Southtown is offering 0% for up to 63 months on 2025 Mazda CX-50 and Mazda CX-5 turbos. And to make it even easier for you to drive away in your new Mazda, you won't pay till next year. That's right, 0% and no payments till 2026. There's no better time than now to get your new Mazda. Come in today to Tim Daly Mazda Southtown in Sandy. Some restrictions apply. ADR OAC. Not available with any other offers. See dealer for complete details.
Is your financial advisor offering you up to a 30% upfront bonus? Or are they promising you up to 10% growth per year, all for your retirement income? If not, then you need to come to Trajan Wealth. I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. If you have a plan to retire within the next 10 years, don't wait only to find out it's too late. I've seen hardworking folks like you retire only to be required to go back to work, all because their advisor told them guarantees like these were too good to be true. They're not. That's up to $30,000 upfront or up to $10,000 per year on $100,000, all guaranteed for retirement income. Don't keep working when you're supposed to be retired, and don't let any financial advisor tell you it's too good to be true. Call Trajan today, 801-210-6800. That's 801-210-6800.
Annuities, not advisory products. DBA Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions. Additional disclosures at TrajanWealth.com.
Calling all Jazz fans. If you can't wait another second to see stars like Ace Bailey and Lowry Markkanen tear up the court, you're in luck. Tickets are on sale now. Let's go! No matter what you're looking for, the Utah Jazz has your back. With season tickets, mini plans, and single game options available, there's something for everyone. Whatever your schedule or budget, there's a plan for every fan. Don't miss a moment of the action this season. Secure your tickets today at UtahJazz.com.
Gear up for the holidays and conquer that to-do list in a new Chevy truck. Now is the time to get red tag savings on the 2026 Silverado. With 4 powerful engine choices, impressive towing capability, and legendary dependability. Or choose from other great offers on Colorado, giving you clever and convenient bed and tailgate functionality, plus outstanding torque for big adventures. This holiday season, it all comes together in a Chevrolet. See your Rocky Mountain Chevy dealers.
Being a caregiver for a family member can be very rewarding. It can be very challenging, too. Besides taking a physical and emotional toll, it can also take a real financial toll, especially if you're paying for home safety upgrades, covering medical expenses, cutting back on hours at your job, or having to leave your job altogether. In some states and in certain situations, you may be eligible to get paid for the care you provide, but finding reliable information about caregiver compensation can be overwhelming and very time-consuming. The AARP Foundation Paid for Care Hub can help. It's a free online tool developed with support from United Healthcare, where you can search compensation programs, explore your options, and get answers to frequently asked questions. Find out today if it's possible to be compensated for the time, effort, and care you're providing. Visit paidforcare.aarpfoundation.org to learn more.
Hey, this is Chris with JCW's. Craving something sweet? We do ice cream right. Come in and try one of our shakes, freezes, or an ice cream cone, and you'll see why we say JCW's, quality, and a lot of it.
You're locked on to College Football Saturday on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back in. It is College Football Saturday here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I'm Alex Napolis, filling in for Christian Esparza today. It is Jake Ketch. Jake, BYU taking on Georgia Tech. The Pop Darts Bowl kickoff coming up at 1:30 here locally in the state of Utah. Looking at it from the BYU perspective, the Kyle Whittingham news has impact on what's going on down there in BYU.
Absolutely,
especially with the report coming out that Jay Hill is the top target for that defensive coordinator position. With that in mind, how first of all, looking at it from the overall bowl perspective, it seems like the care for bowls are at an all-time low.
Sadly.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how fired up Georgia Tech comes into this game. I know BYU and that coaching staff are going to have these guys fired up no matter what.
Yeah.
It is a bowl game. It's an opportunity to play football. It's an opportunity to send your seniors off with the win. And it might potentially be Jay Hill's last game as defensive coordinator. So that might fire up guys.
Yeah.
But also that can cause some distractions heading into this game.
Well, and this is a program. Remember, this has kind of been beset by distractions for a month now. Because remember, the Penn State stuff was kind of going into the Big 12 title game prep.
Horrible timing.
All of a sudden, like, oh, hey, by the way, our head coach may be walking out there. Oh, great. That's good for morale and team unity as you go into a game of that magnitude. And then, yes, all of this swirling around, players like L.J. Martin and Sione Mo unavailable. Talk of your defensive coordinator, a guy who's been really transformative for this football program, could be headed to his next job right after this game goes final in theory. Like, there are a lot of distractions for this BYU football program, and that, I think, is where Kalani Sitake himself has to really prove what kind of leader he is in this. He talks all the time about having player leadership, and yes, that is one thing. Players obviously have to help lead because they're the ones making the plays on the field. But he also, as for lack of a term, the CEO of this football program, he's got to go out there and set the tone for these guys, saying, hey, yeah, you guys, you're not immune to hearing everything going on the outside. You got family and friends and people reaching out, agents and all that going on. You're not immune to hearing all this. But let's lock in for the next 3.5, 4 hours, see what we can do in this game, and then whatever happens next happens.
Yeah.
But for right now, lock in on this game. Now, is every guy in that locker room going to be able to do just that? I can't say that, but that's got to be the mindset for BYU going in.
100%. And again, you have an opportunity to go in and end the season with 12 wins, which, first of all, it's a massive, massive success for BYU to be able to get to 12. Right? I think especially after what happened in the preseason, right, with the Retzlaff news and the uncertainty at quarterback, I thought it would be impressive if BYU got to a bowl game, but here we are with BYU sitting at 11-2, having another phenomenal season, just missing out on the playoff, and you have an opportunity to end with 12 wins, and I think that's got to be the most important thing, and that's got to be the thing at the front of the players' minds, right? It's not about the future. It's not about what's going to happen tomorrow with Jay Hill, right? It's not going to be about what's going to happen with players potentially leaving the program.
Correct. It
has to be on, hey, we have a chance here at 12 wins, and that has to be the most important thing for BYU heading into this game.
Well, and the other thing is BYU is proven to be a program that has got strong leaders just in it. That's the way Kalani's empowered his captains and the like to speak out when they feel necessary to make sure guys are aware of what they're expected to do. But this is an interesting circumstance because there's just a whole lot going on around on the periphery of this that I think it's going to take more of a message from him and the coaching staff to say, hey, guys, understand that there's a lot of stuff going on the outside.
Yep.
But we have to focus on this because it'd be the first time since 2001. So 24 seasons since the last time they won 12 games. And ironically enough, that 2001 season, BYU went 12-0 to start and then lost their last two games. They went to Hawaii, lost to the Rainbow Warriors, and then lost their bowl game. I think it was the Liberty Bowl that season. So for the first time in a quarter century, you could win 12 games. And that's got to kind of be the mindset for this team. But this is a program for the second straight year that's kind of found itself right there on the edge of the college football playoff. And I do wonder if there's just that little bit in the back of their mind being like, Missed out on it again. And there's just that disappointment factor. And on the flip side, Georgia Tech, they lost 3 of their last 4. Yeah. They were 8-0 at one point. They were ranked in the top 10 in the country. They were looking like they were going to be the darling of the ACC and playing in the college football playoff. And then they lost to Pitt. They lost to Georgia. I remember who else they lost to in that run. And it cost them that opportunity. I look at Georgia Tech kind of what BYU was a season ago. Because BYU, they know they screwed up in their heart of hearts when they lost to Kansas and lost to Arizona State and missed out on their opportunity to play in the Big 12 title game, missed out on the playoff. And they went into that Alamo Bowl against Colorado super fired up.
Yeah.
They wanted to make a statement. They wanted to prove to the country that they were as good as everybody thought, or they thought they were. And they went out and did just that. The question is going to be, can they find that same type of fire in this game? Because I feel like Georgia Tech is more of the BYU 2024 model versus BYU being that. Yeah. Because BYU is the second straight year of just the being oh so close. It's got to be just that little bit in their back of their mind. I feel like they might be like, is it really worth it? Like, and I know that's horrible to say, but I do wonder if that could sneak into some guys' minds.
And looking at it from the BYU perspective, I mean, the same thing can be said about the team this season, right? Where they were in the same position that they were last season.
Correct.
Where you just miss out, and then you go and you steamroll Colorado in the Alamo Bowl.
Yes.
This is another opportunity to do that, and I think continue to send messages to the committee of saying, hey, you messed up. You underranked us. You treated us poorly, quite frankly, when it came to the rankings, and we're not taking any of that anymore. This is a perfect opportunity for BYU to elevate the brand. We talk about
we
talk about the People's National Championship, right? A lot of people care about the Pop-Tarts Bowl. I think a lot of people will ultimately be tuning into the Pop-Tarts Bowl, and this is another opportunity for BYU to get their to elevate their brand. I think it just plain and simple. You go out there, you put on a phenomenal performance, you send a message to the committee, and that will only help you down the road.
Yeah.
You can't go into this game and think, because we got slided, right, we're not going to put as much emphasis. We're not going to put as much care into this game.
Sure.
It's a perfect opportunity to do the complete opposite and continue to send the messages to the committee and say, the BYU brand deserves to be respected more.
Well, sure. And that is, I think, speaking right to the culture that Kalani Sitake has developed here. Because
100%.
There's a lot of people who think that if Jay Hill leaves, BYU is going to backslide hard. And they probably do backslide some. But the constant in all this is that before Jay Hill was in Provo, BYU had some 10-win seasons. They did it. You can go look at the records, 2020 and the like. The thing is, Jay Hill has come in and been a really, really nice cog, but the constant has been Kalani Sitake for 10 years.
Yes.
And trust me, Kalani is not without his faults and some of the foibles he's had during his time at BYU. He put together a 4-9 campaign his second year in the program. He has made his first set of coordinators proved to not necessarily be the best set of coordinators he could have had right out of the chute. But since that time, he has learned and he has morphed things and he's worked to make sure that his program is as good a position as it possibly can be. And I think that's to the coaching staff's credit, but that's kind of extended down to the players. These players, they know that, hey, this is an opportunity to put on a show. And they're competitors. You don't play football at the college level because, you just enjoy it.
Because it's fun.
It's fun. Sure, it is fun. There's a work element to all of it.
Absolutely.
Because trust me, it's a grind.
No, they have their goals.
And they do have goals. And yeah, I think 12 games, a 12-win season is absolutely got to be the rallying cry for BYU. Like, guys, no team in BYU history for the better part of a quarter century now has won 12 games. Let's go out and do it.
Yeah.
Let's kind of propel ourselves. Some of these guys, Chase Roberts, Tanner Wall, like they're going to move on with life. Jack Kelly and the like. They're seniors. They're moving on. They want to go out on a positive note. And you also want to propel yourself into the offseason on a positive note as well. So there's a whole lot riding on this game than just, hey, it's the People's National Championship. It's a chance to really kind of set yourself up for 2026.
Yeah. I think for those players, for the younger guys specifically, for guys who are coming back next season and for guys who have been with the program for multiple years now, right? You were a part of what happened last season. And I think you didn't necessarily reach the goals you wanted to this season,
sure.
Right? I think every senior probably had on their vision board written Big 12 champion.
Well, yeah, no,
college
absolutely.
football playoff appearance.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they didn't get to those goals. They didn't reach that. And I think for the younger guys, for the guys who are coming back, I think they owe it to the seniors to be 100% focused on this game, to be 100% bought into this game, to be 100% ready for this game, They owe it to the seniors to go out and get that win and send them off the right way. Whatever happens tomorrow, whatever happens with Jay Hill, whatever happens with those young guys wanting to leave the program, like that's going to happen. That's fine. But push it down the road. Today, it is about the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Yeah. It is about sending off those seniors with a dub.
And that's what the message has got to be from the top down. Is like, hey, understand that we've got goals that we can still accomplish here. Yeah, we didn't maybe achieve our overarching ultimate goals on the season, but guys, go out there, win this game, make yourselves feel a lot better, enjoy a massive Pop-Tart treat at the end of it, and and have that win and propel yourself into an off season that could be pretty crazy. Because
yes,
it sure looks like there's a whole lot that's going to unfold after this game goes final.
100%.
So just have one last hurrah together. Hopefully it's in a W, and then you kind of move forward from that point. But the focus, you got to get in that locker room. Kalani Sitake, and if they put out that cut video that BYU puts out, I don't know if they will, because after losses sometimes they don't. But those talks he has with the team before the game, he kind of likes to essentially say, guys, focus on the here and now.
Yeah.
And that can be really hard because we're talking about young people. Like, there's a reason
they're on social media.
Yeah, and
they see it.
And there's a reason why guys like Chris Peterson, the former Boise State and Washington coach, call the 18 to 24-year-old demographic of males the dumbest age group in America. He said that on our very airwaves at a Pac-12 Media Day back in the day. I about fell out of my chair when he made the statement. I'm like, wow, that's a real good recruiting point to be making as a head coach of a Power 4 program. But the point holds. His point is more nuanced than just calling them dumb. He's like, these kids are getting pulled in all kinds of directions. They got family. They got agents now. They got money riding on the line, all this stuff. And the biggest thing the coaching staff in the case of BYU today can go is like, guys, there's a lot going on. Just acknowledge a spade for a spade. Call it out. Say, there's the elephant. It's right there. We get all of it. But understand, this is the last time this team's going to play together. So let's just go out. Let's have some fun. Let's see what we can do over the next 3.5, 4 hours.
And I think that will ultimately be how BYU comes out in this one.
Yeah.
Because again, I trust Kalani and I trust that coaching staff to have these guys.
He's done a good job so far
to be ready and prepared. The same thing can be said about the Las Vegas Bowl.
Yeah.
Right. That's coming up on Wednesday, on New Year's Eve, and now Morgan Scally is going to be leading that team. And the same thing can be said about Utah in that perspective. Right. It's whatever happens tomorrow, whatever happens after the bowl game is going to happen, but this is our chance to get our first W as the head coach.
Yeah.
And the same thing can be said about that bowl game with when the Utes take on Nebraska. BYU taking on Georgia Tech. Kickoff coming up at 1:30. Remember, the post game immediately following that. We'll take another quick step aside. We'll wrap things up for this portion of the show. Coming up from noon to 1:30, we'll continue to take you up all the way to kickoff. You'll hear from head coach Kalani Sitake and his interview with Hans and Scotty. You'll hear from Kelly Quinlan, who covers Georgia Tech for JacketsOnline.com and on 3 and Rivals. He sat down with JJ and Alex and previewed Georgia Tech. You'll also hear from Brent Key, head coach of Georgia Tech, and Kalani Sitake in their post-conference from yesterday as well. All that coming up. But first, we'll wrap up this portion of the show on the other side. It is College Football Saturday, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, today through Sunday. Mountain America Expo Center. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, today through Sunday. Mountain America Expo Center. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Today through Sunday. Mountain America Expo Center. Today, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
If you've been diagnosed with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis, this is what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Imagine being a million miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy. With Tremfya, clearer skin is possible. In clinical trials, at least 70% of patients saw at least 90% clearer skin at 16 weeks. Results may vary. Tremfya is also indicated for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Call 1-800-526-7736 or visit Tremfya.com.
At University of Utah Health, we're mapping DNA to find the cause and the cure. Because 1 in a million is really just one. One person facing one incredibly difficult diagnosis. Looking for one thing: hope. Learn more at uofuhealth.org.
Stay up to date with everything Utah Jazz related with the new Jazz Notes newsletter. Get draft updates, analysis, and be the first to know about every off-season move. Visit KSLSports.com to sign up for the Jazz Notes newsletter. The KSL Sports Zone and Hercules Credit Union are highlighting people that impact youth sports. Nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week at KSLSports.com.
This is College Football Saturday on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back into College Football Saturday. It is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Nepoulos, Jake Hatch with you as we get you ready for BYU taking on Georgia Tech, the Pop-Tarts Bowl down there in Orlando, kicking off at 1:30 local time here in the state of Utah. The Cougars and the Yellow Jackets going head-to-head. Jake Hatch, real quick, let's jump into our keys to the game, man. What are we looking for the most when it comes to this matchup? What are we looking for the most when it comes to BYU taking on Georgia Tech? And what's BYU got to do to make sure they walk out with a W?
First thing is they got to find a way to generate some rushing offense to balance this, because you can't just essentially tell, hey, Bear, by the way, you're going to throw the ball 50 times in this game. That's just not BYU's ethos. That's not the way that Aaron Roderick has built this offense, what Kalani Sitake wants. So you got to find, hopefully, a running back, whether it's Enoch Nawahine, Jovesa Damuni, or who knows, Preston Rex, Logan Payne. Find somebody that's effective in the run game.
Absolutely.
So generate some rushing offense to balance things, keep Georgia Tech's offense on the sidelines, and that'll give yourself a fighting chance, but that's much easier said than done, especially down in your top two running backs.
I think in this game where you don't have your two running backs and where you're potentially playing with a little bit of a hobbled, not 100% Bear Blockmeyer, Aaron Roderick's got to be in his bag a little bit. Go in there and find some of those jet sweeps that have been so successful all season with Parker Kingston. What trick plays do you have up your sleeve designed for Parker to make a big play? Because I feel like when you don't have your most important piece of that offense in LJ Martin, you have to find ways to make sure Parker Kingston is involved in the game. I feel like in those losses, right, where you go and you lose to Texas Tech, both of those, and credit to Texas Tech defense, but in both of those, Parker Kingston and Chase Roberts never really had opportunities to get going and never really had opportunities to make big plays down the field. And so I feel like Aaron Roderick's got to be in his bag a little bit to make sure that you can find the ball to Parker Kingston and you can get the ball to those Chase Roberts, right? And find those big plays in the jet sweep action or whatever you got up your sleeve to make sure Parker Kingston can pull off some big runs. And then on the defensive side, man, you got to turn the ball over, got to force those turnovers. And again, we talked about it earlier. Got to find opportunities for Bear Bachmeier to work with some short fields and allow that offense to be in good scoring positions.
Well, yeah, you got to set your teammates up. And Kalani Sitake uses the term all the time, complementary football.
Absolutely.
Well, guess what? Today has to be the epitome of that.
Yeah.
Offense has to help the defense. Defense has to help the offense, and special teams has to do its part as well. You cannot have one of these phases lacking in this game because especially just how depleted you are, especially without your best offensive weapon. And that's no slight to Bear Bachmeier, who I think is an incredible weapon as well. But when you're the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year, that's a big loss. There's just no doubt about that. So, yeah, you have to have all three phases of the football helping each other out, forcing turnovers, cashing in on giving those opportunities with turnovers. And so long as you do that, you'll give yourself a fighting chance in this game.
Top 3 Pop-Tarts flavors. In the spirit of the Pop-Tart Bowl,
man.
What are your top 3 Pop-Tarts, man?
Okay, so here's the thing. I have learned over the past, 3 weeks leading up to this game, there are more Pop-Tarts flavors than I ever dreamed of there being.
Yes.
There's funfetti cake flavors that have been in the past, kind of special editions that they've done over the years. But I got to go to my OG, my favorite of all time. I'm a cherry guy.
Oh, okay.
I know that's not necessarily one of the most popular ones.
That's not where I thought you were. That's not where I thought you were going.
Okay, that's a good question from Parker here, because they do have. I also found out they have unfrosted versions. I have never had an unfrosted Pop-Tart ever.
I don't think I have either.
You're not missing anything.
I'm just saying. I learned that because Pop-Tarts sent like this. We're talking like a table full of Pop-Tarts to BYU practice going back 2 weeks ago, and they had enough left over. Like, hey, meaty guys, you guys want some of these? I'm like, sure. So cherry frosted, number 1 in my book. Okay. Number 2. I'm going to have to go with the strawberry frosted, which is probably, by the way, the majority of the BYU football program, frosted strawberry seems to be the favorite of BYU.
I think that one's like the most popular all around.
It's a pretty popular one.
Yeah.
Then the third one, it used to be the cinnamon sugar, like what is it? Cinnamon
the brown sugar cinnamon.
Brown sugar cinnamon. That's my wife's favorite. And that's my wife's, hands down, her favorite. Used to be that. But then during this bowl prep season, so they were handing them out to the media members. I got to try the cinnamon roll flavor.
They have a cinnamon roll flavor?
Dude. It might be pushing up towards taking over strawberries.
All right. I know where I'm going after the show. I'm going to go buy some Pop-Tarts, man.
It tastes legitimately like a cinnamon roll, just albeit in Pop-Tart form. So those are my 3. So
I love that.
Frosted cherry, frosted strawberry, cinnamon roll. What do you got?
Okay. My favorite, frosted brown sugar cinnamon.
Okay.
That one is by far my favorite, hands down. If I'm going to go get Pop-Tarts, I'm going that route. Number 2, frosted raspberry.
Okay.
I like me some raspberry.
Yeah.
And that one's probably my number 2, and then the number 3 is frosted blueberry.
Got it.
Those are my top 3.
Blueberry
Miss me with the funfetti. Those ones were horrific. Miss me with the
I was not a s'mores guy.
Honestly, I was disappointed with the hot fudge sundae.
Yeah, that was not.
I was disappointed with the milkshake ones. Those ones not my favorite.
Yeah,
not my favorite.
S'mores were also not that great in my book.
Yeah, Parker, you got to please that top 3.
This is a topic I'm very passionate about because I grew up eating tons of Pop-Tarts. Like they were my go-to snack. I love them. I actually want to start at 3. 3 is frosted blueberry. Miss me with any of the unfrosted nonsense.
Okay.
Not having any of that. Frosted blueberry, number 3. Number 2, brown sugar cinnamon, obviously frosted. And then the Mac Daddy of them all, sorry, Jake, the king of Pop-Tarts is s'mores. It's the best one.
I'm out.
I forgot about the s'mores
It's
flavor,
the best one by far and away.
Okay.
You can't convince me otherwise.
That actually, by the way, in terms of the BYU team, s'mores might have been their number 2, based on what I heard from them talking about. So
I forgot about the s'mores.
It's the best.
I'll probably put s'mores at number 4.
If you're gonna get some Pop-Tarts, Alex, get some s'mores and then get one of the fun flavors.
Hey, remember to catch the postgame show tonight immediately following the game with Christian Esparza and myself on air and also live stream on YouTube, X, Facebook, and KSLSports.com. We'll be on 1280 tonight. From Jake Hatch, thanks for filling in so much.
Absolutely,
for
thanks for having
me. Thanks for hanging out. A big thank you to Parker Long too, behind the glass, pushing the buttons. Don't go anywhere. Kalani Sitake on Hands and Scotty coming up next. It is College Football Saturday, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Whether you're stuck in the office,
I believe you have my stapler,
in your car, or at your in-laws.
You want a piece of me? You bet I do.
The Zone is with you every step of the way. Download the KSL Sports app to get live streaming of your favorite shows and access to all the latest updates on your favorite teams. Your home for the best coverage of the Utes, Cougars, Jazz, and Mammoth is on air, online, and on the KSL Sports app. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The KSL Sports Zone is your home for live local sports. Tonight, the Utah Jazz are in San Antonio to play the Spurs, 6 o'clock on 97.5 The Zone. Tomorrow, the Raiders host the New York Giants, 2 o'clock on 97.5 The Zone. And Monday, the Utah Mammoth return from their 6-day Christmas break to host the Nashville Predators at 7 o'clock on 97.5 The Zone. If you want to hear your company's name right here associated with these great brands, email Stephanie Palmer at spalmer@ksl.com and join the winning team at the KSL Sports Zone.
Attention Jazz Nation. The long wait is finally over. Mountain basketball is back and better than ever. Let's go! All tickets are on sale now, and you won't want to miss the action.